There's a funny thing about baseball. You read in the newspapers about Joe Hoosett, the veteran pitcher, and you figure Joe must be an old fellow with a beard who has to roll the ball up to the plate. Then you take a look at the records and find Joe is still in his 30s, and that's the way it goes. When a man stays in baseball for more than 10 years, they hang flags on him every Memorial Day. Tonight, I want you to meet a man who contradicts all this, the super veteran of the game, a man who was winning pennants before most of today's players were born. And here he is, Cornelius McGillicuddy, known to all baseball fans as the great Connie Mack.
That's it, George.
Connie, just to keep this thing straight, how long have you been active in baseball?
This is my 54th season, Joe.
54 years. Only a temporary job, huh? Well, I guess it must be your favorite game.
It's more than that. Baseball has been my whole life, and I wouldn't know what to do if I wasn't in the harness.
You look mighty young for a man who's been wearing harness all these years.
Thanks.
You must have started the game playing in rompers.
Thanks for the compliment, Joe. But I wasn't one of those infant prodigies. I was a raw rookie when I broke in. But I was wearing long pants.
Well, what were you in the beginning, Connie? A pitcher?
No, I was a catcher, but not a very good one. In 1895, I decided I'd rather be a manager. It's easier to tell the other fellow what to do.
Well, when did you win your first pennant, Connie?
In 1902.
And did you win the World Series that year?
There were no World Series at that time. The first World Series was in 1905 between the New York Giants and ourselves. They had a young Irishman for manager named John McGraw and a pitcher named Christy Matheson. The combination was too much for us, and we lost 4-1.
Well, when did you get another chance at John McGraw and those Giants?
Not until 1911, and then we turned the tables. We had taken the World Championship from the Chicago Cubs in 1910, and we repeated again against the Giants in 1911.
2 in succession. Well, as we say back home, you really took your World Series seriously, didn't you?
Yes, but we cooled off too soon. That was an odd thing, Joe. In 1912, I had what I still think was the best team I ever managed. Yet I lost the American League pennant that year and won the next year in 1913 with a team that was 20% less efficient. That spoiled my chances to win 4 pennants in a row.
Well, did any manager ever win 4 in a row?
Yes, John McGraw did, from 1921 through to 1924.
Well, I can see that John McGraw's path crossed yours many times.
I'd have missed a lot if our paths hadn't crossed, for he was a fine man. I met him first when he was playing third base for the famous Baltimore Orioles back in the 1890s. That was a great team, and he was the leading spirit behind it.
I've heard some tall tales about those Orioles. They must have been some birds.
I class them as one of the best teams in the history of baseball.
What about that team you had with the $1 million infield?
You're spending too much money, Joe. It was really called the $100,000 infield.
Well, I was only $900,000 off. Not bad for a fellow who still counts on his fingers.
That was a great team, all right. I had to break it up in 1915, and for a very strange reason. During the last years of our winning streak, attendance kept falling off. The fans just got tired of watching us win. I had to sell the boys because I couldn't afford to pay them what they were worth.
And you had to begin all over again.
Yes, I started building from the bottom, and I didn't win another pennant until 1929. Then I took 3 in a row.
I saw that team in action. Grove, Earnshaw, Fox, Dyke, Simmons. How long did you keep that outfit together?
I began to break them up in 1932. Once again, it was hard, but I had to do it. Every man was a star, and the budget of our club couldn't pay their salaries. And again, I had to start from scratch and build a complete new team.
So how many pennants have you won altogether, Connie?
I have won 9, Joe. One more, and I would equal the record that John McGraw created. Under him, the Giants took 10 pennants in the National League.
Well, you've seen them all in your time, Connie. Would you name an all-time, all-star team for us?
I'd be glad to do it, Joe.
All right. Now, who would you put on first base?
George Sisler of the St. Louis Browns.
Second base?
Eddie Collins of my 1910 Athletics.
Shortstop?
Honus Wagner, the Flying Dutchman of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Third base?
Jimmy Collins of the Boston Red Sox.
What about your outfield?
There I'd place a combination unbeatable for power and skill. Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and Chris Speaker.
What would be the pitching staff on this all-time team?
2 right-handers, Christy Matheson and Walter Johnson, and 2 left-handers, Rube Ordell and Lefty Grove.
And who would be your catcher?
Another player who was once one of my boys. He's been making a game fight this week, not on the field, but in a hospital, and my prayers and the prayers of all Americans have been with him. For catcher, Mickey Cochran, manager of the Detroit Tigers.
We'll see him catch again, Connie. He has the strength and the courage to come back. By the way, who would you pick for the All-Star manager?
There's only one possible choice, John McGraw.
Hello everyone, I spend a lot of time trying to get you guys nice videos, so please subscribe to this page. Thank you.